All right, now just a few moments after the American Congress approved Joe Biden's presidential win, the outgoing President Donald Trump has promised that there will be a peaceful transition. Now, Donald Trump's social media aide, Dan Scavino, has tweeted Donald Trump's statement where Donald Trump has said, and I quote him here, "Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on the 20th of January. I've always said that we will continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. While this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again." Now, the statement has come after the Congress certified Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to run the White House just hours after the pro-Trump rioters had stormed the Capitol Hill, causing complete pandemonium and violence at the Capitol Hill.
Will be the president and the vice president according to the ballots that have been given to us.
And the U.S. Congress has confirmed President-elect Joe Biden's victory hours after the supporters of the outgoing president stormed the Capitol building. The House of Representatives and also the Senate certified Joe Biden's victory, and the Electoral College votes were counted. In a joint session chaired by Vice President Mike Pence, Biden received 306 votes, while Donald Trump managed to get just 232. The majority mark in the American legislature is 270 college votes.
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 306 votes. Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana has received 232 votes. The announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2021.
Now, the U.S. House and Senate were holding a joint session to count Electoral College votes when proceedings were interrupted by Republican lawmakers who objected to Arizona results. And this was followed by separate debates in Senate and House chambers. The debates were suspended when rioters forced their way into the Capitol. All right, now to give us more information in terms of what this all means for American politics, we are joined in by Capri Cafaro, who is a former Democratic leader of the Ohio State Senate and also is a political commentator. Now, Ms. Cafaro, thank you very much indeed for joining us in this broadcast on WION. And let me begin by asking you this. Now, President Donald Trump's media aide has said that the president, who is on his way out on the 20th of this month, will ensure that there will be a peaceful transition, considering what has happened earlier in the day within the American legislature. Do you think his words are something that will reassure the people of America?
Well, I think at this point, to some extent, it's a little bit too little too late. I think that it does provide some reassurance that President Trump is not going to continue to stoke the flames, because we've seen time and time again is President Trump kind of putting wood on the fire and igniting his supporters in a way that brings them to a fever pitch to what we saw, for example, today, which was an unprecedented, historic, and frankly, heartbreaking scene for Americans and anyone who subscribes to democracy and peaceful transfer of power. So it is definitely an encouraging sign, but it is also he almost has no other choice. I mean, he has no other choice. I think that President Trump played this out as much as he possibly could. He acted, unfortunately, from a place of selfishness rather than a place of altruism and love for his country. And now that every single possible option has been exhausted. He has no other choice. And so, we'll see now. I mean, I also think that President Trump recognizes that there is discussion, for example, to invoke the 25th Amendment, which would mean removal of his role as president of the United States by a vote of the current cabinet and the vice president together with Congress. And so maybe he wants to avoid that kind of shame, basically, and embarrassment by essentially trying to say, look, there's no need for that. I will walk away gracefully at this point, whatever that means.
All right, but the fact of the matter is Donald Trump has still not conceded the election, although the American legislature has certified Joe Biden as the victor of the election that took place on the 3rd of November. Now, the question that I want to ask you is, legally speaking, does Donald Trump now have any avenue to look up to try and overturn the result of this election?
That is correct. Every possible legal, legislative, procedural path has been absolutely exhausted. That is why January 6th, I think, was so important to Trump's extreme supporters, and why I think we saw what we saw today or yesterday now on Capitol Hill, because this was it. And while there is precedence for members of Congress to issue objections to accepting the Electoral College votes when they are sent to the House and Senate chambers, really we have to look all the way back to 1876, which Senator Cruz referenced, for example, to where this really was a push and pull back and forth, where they really where there was a real challenge to the electoral votes that were sent from the states back to Congress. So, there's nothing left. I mean, we have, 2 weeks now until President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris are actually sworn in to the oath of office on the 20th of January. There is nothing that he can do between now and then. All
right. Now, I also want you to weigh in a bit about the scenes that we actually witnessed within the American legislature. Something like this would be expected in the legislatures of some place, which does not have a very stable democracy somewhere in the third world. But the President of the United States takes pride in being called the leader of the free world. And with what has happened earlier in the day, does it dent the, the image of the United States of America as a thriving democracy?
Sadly, I believe it does. And, I am a student of democratization in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet republics. That's what I did my master's degree on 20 years ago now. And so I've looked at, the fledgling democracies and countries that have not achieved the level of, functional government and governance that the United States and other large-scale democracies have across the globe. And sadly, while maybe, it really is just optics in some way, shape, or form, because, look, we saw all of these people come and raid the U.S. Capitol. Several hours later, guess what? Thankfully, our elected officials resumed regular order, regular business, did what they needed to do constitutionally. So does it actually damage our functioning democracy? Maybe not. Does it damage our image as a democratic leader, the democratic leader, I would say, in the globe? It certainly does. And I think that is not a place that the United States wants to be. Absolutely. And not a place, frankly, where our allies want us to be either, because together we are stronger.
All right. My last question to you, and also we are completely short of time, so I'd want you to keep it brief. Sure. Donald Trump does not want to give up on politics anytime soon. He said that he would like to return in 2024. What prospects do you see for Donald Trump in the next election?
It really depends on what he does between now and then. And frankly, I think there's going to be a lot of other people nipping at his heels. The Trump coalition will still, I think, be important to any Republican trying to seek higher office. But I am not convinced that Donald Trump is actually going to seek election 4 years from now. He will be in his late 70s. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, since Joe Biden is 78 years old. I don't see it happening. Right. Maybe we'll see kids running for governor or Senate, but I'm not convinced that Donald Trump's going to run again for president. All right.
Capri Cafaro, thank you very much indeed for joining us from Washington, D.C. and getting us also all those insights there.
Thank you very much.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.